Let's get a little vocal warm up in. Red leather, yellow red leather.
Me, 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 me.
The skeleton ran out of shampoo in the shower. Have you ever seen that in Anchorman?
No.
The outtakes. He's like, the skeleton was denied a bank loan. Like he's practicing his pronunciation. It's really funny.
Red leather, yellow leather. Rah, rah, rah.
La 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 li li lu lu lu. Okay.
What are we talking about? Whatever.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Where we discuss one controversial topic, though our opinions probably aren't as controversial as you think. It's just the topic, really. Today, we are going to discuss, there was a transgender MMA fighter, a trans woman, Alana McLaughlin, who got a second-round win against a biologically born female.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier this week, there's clearly two sides to, like, should she be able to fight a woman?
Mm-hmm.
And that is what we're here to discuss today. We are not talking transgender rights. Like, transgender people should have the exact same rights as everyone else. We're not even talking soccer and volleyball and other sports. We are talking combat sports.
Combat sports.
Combat sports. So my question to you today, Clint, is should transgender females be allowed to compete against biologically born females in combat sports?
I don't believe so.
And why is that?
If we're talking on the context of the structure and the framework of sports, combat competitions, I just see it as an unfair advantage to the biological female.
Unfair advantage.
I see it as a
unfair advantage to the trans female.
Yes, I told you to help me along here. Yes, it's an unfair. Is that what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. I agree.
Yeah.
On the topic of combat sports, I am inclined to agree. Again, just taking emotion out of this, but kind of inserting some logic here. There's a certain effect that testosterone has on the human body,
Mm-hmm.
not just when you're growing up, but prenatally.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that I don't think it's very easy to reverse that as far as like muscle density and strength goes. And so you're in a combat sport like this, you're talking about, especially MMA, you're beating someone unconscious. Like that's how you win, or you get them in a technical hold, but it's life-threatening.
Yeah, you're crossing over into the safety boundaries. Like there's got to be some safety in the competition, and that could hurt someone. Someone could get hurt,
and it's not intentional. It's not like I don't think Alana McLaughlin's like, I'm gonna go down and fight women because I can hurt them. You know,
right.
I don't think it's that.
Right.
I think it's someone who enjoyed fighting, wanted to transition genders, and still wanted to enjoy fighting. But I just think if there's one thing that you have to give up, you should have to give up, like when you're transitioning genders, it's beating someone to within an inch of their life. You know what I mean? And you brought up a great point earlier.
Yeah.
You said that biological females have spent their whole lives getting to know their bodies. Transgender females might not even know their own strength.
No, and I told you, I gave you an illustration because my brain has to break this down in a construction in a way. So it's like, so let's say you have the 24-year-old female fighter, biologically born female fighter, 24 years old. She's had 24 years to get used to that body, understanding the mechanics, their own strength, their capabilities, strengths, weaknesses, all of that. Then you have this MMA fighter who has been male that, let's say at 20, transitioned to female, Well, then now they've got 4 years, so 24, two of these. But the other individual, had 4 years. The trans females had 4 years to get used to their body. So who's to know how they know their own strength or not? And I know it's I don't know. I kind of see there's so many different constructions of that, or I see I don't. Again, with the LGBT community, I'm like, is this our fight? This is sports. The argument is discrimination. Like, I just don't see how this is our fight, because now we're getting into biology, sports, competition, and I just don't see how this is a piece of inclusion.
I'd like to reiterate that gender is not all about biological science. There's social science with gender, but that doesn't mean you can just get rid of the biology portion of that. There's still a large, like gender association. That's a social science.
Yeah.
Gender identity. That's a social science. But there is a biological gender that's real. You can't just get rid of that because of ideology or politics, and that plays a large portion in strength. You know, it's not. I don't think it's. If you just take not you, but if you take emotion out of it and think of it logically, biological men have a lot more testosterone in their system. So you're taking someone in Alana McLaughlin who, I'm not sure what age she transitioned.
I just said 20.
But she's a veteran. So it was after she left,
she was an Army specialist.
And so you're taking someone who is not only prenatally exposed to testosterone, which has a massive effect on the human body, but for 20 to 30 years was treated with testosterone. And now she was allowed to fight because she had her current testosterone levels down to an appropriate level, but that doesn't take away the effect that testosterone has on the body for 20 to 30 years. And if you look at her in the picture, I mean, she's noticeably more jacked than the other girl. And the other girl,
she looks very strong.
It went 2 rounds. You know, the other girl put up a fight, but I think you have to go back to the Fallon Fox debacle, where she didn't tell people that she was transgender and beat the fuck out of some girl, and you're just like, oh man. Inclusion. We're not even talking about other sports, just combat sports. That could be the difference between life or death in that octagon.
I just think for now, I don't know what the easy solution is, but I don't think that this is a safe. I don't think this is a safe inclusion method, and there's several things to this. Like, I'd like to know what the body, how well you know your body, but also like female to male transition. Do the male trans, do they want to fight in the male? So it's like,
I haven't heard anything in MMA. There was one USA boxer who did it in 2018, and he won a unanimous decision, and that's one fight that I know about. I don't know the weight class or anything like that.
Yeah.
Could have been big, could have been small. I don't know. But even like, so boxing is one thing, but I mean, MMA is
that's
more
no joke.
It seems more brutal than boxing.
I went to one time.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can. I've been to one live, and I can tell you at a county fairgrounds, I was scared shitless. But in that octagon, the way it does, to me it looked like no rules. So it's like someone can get hurt if they don't know what they're doing, and if they, like in this situation, do you know your own strength? Do you know what you might be capable of? And I know you got a dream, and that dream is to fight and do whatever. But I don't know the easy solution to it, but I know that it does not seem like fairness for a biological female, biologically born female. It doesn't, and not to me. I know you want to fight, and and I know it's about your truth, but
she said she had a hell of a time finding. Here's the thing: she had a hell of a time finding an opponent.
Yeah, I'd like to
which
know.
I totally understand. I don't think that's a discrimination thing. I think that's other fighters are probably like afraid of what might happen to them.
Well, I would think so too. I know that I don't know. I would want to talk to a female fighter. Say, what do you think? Is it like I could see where that would be uncomfortable. I'm like, I'm sorry that
Might be afraid.
Yeah.
That person might do some
I wouldn't
real
get in the ring. I'm like,
damage to me,
no.
irreparable damage, and so they're afraid. It's also, I think,
Of course,
afraid because it's so new. I mean, I can only think of Alana McLaughlin and Fallon Fox, the only two names I can think to attach to this. You know, so there's really not
It's so
like
new,
a lot
but
of
also,
stuff to look over.
but it also, I don't know if slippery slope's the right term, but it does bleed over into other sports, track, field. The Olympics. These were topics in the Olympics. Trans athlete lifters, male to female, who were lifters even. So
Yeah, but we're sticking to combat sports.
I know we are, but you could see how this particular thing, which is sports, it cascades over in these other
absolutely.
topics as well. I just think sports is going to be a complicated. It's going to be a complicated one for the trans community. It just is. I think we just have to talk through it
one by one.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do it. You can't pair them all in together. You can't be like, well, if they can participate in soccer with women, they should be able to do MMA. Like, that's not the same thing.
It's just, let's talk with the professionals.
The consequences are not the same.
Leave your emotion
whatsoever.
at the door and let's talk with the professionals and those that have the stories and make some logical sense of this and see what we can do.
There we go. Cool. All right.